David Reich and his research team are searching for a new model, a new human history. They seem to also focus on India in general, and possibly also on Tamil Nadu, just as this channel occasionally does, at least lately. David Reich and his research team published a paper on the origins of the Indo-European language, in which they claim to have identified the first speakers of the Indo-European language, which also gave rise to Sanskrit and hundreds of other languages, including English. This could be an indication of a breakthrough coming from, or spurred by new data from India. We, the authors of this comment, claim that these first speakers are related to India as a key in the Austronesian expansion. North Indian languages do not come from steppe ancestors, nor Europe, but from the Austronesian expansion. We also claim that these Indo-European languages do not branch, or spring out, from steppe pastoralist, Yamnaya, north of the Black Sea and the Caspian Sea, some 5,000 years ago, but instead from much earlier common ancestors, that are closely related to India and the Austronesian expansion, which represents much earlier branching of genes and branching of languages, around 50,000 to 70,000 years ago, which only later in time ends up in the Caucasus, this in the northern slopes of the Caucasus Mountains and the lower Volga region, where they are detected by the extremely important ancient DNA research of David Reich. The fact that Hittites, Anatolia, modern-day Turkey, Yamnaya plus these Caucasus people share a common ancestor, proves or indicates that these Caucasus people and languages are not yet the origin. So we have to go on to look for their common ancestor, or even better their origin. Once the relation of the above three groups, with the much older Austronesian expansion is proven, our claim that also puts India in focus, will be proven. To start with, they have the practices of burial of their deaths in common, this also with the corded ware culture. Ancestral markers link them all to the Americas, and next to the Austronesian expansion. Population Y and the PV92 jumping gene. The ancestral South Indians, indigenous so-called hunter-gatherers, related to Andamanese and Southeast Asians, perfectly fit in this Austronesian expansion. Around 512 in one of the source videos, you can find the link in the description. Modern man continues to have traces of ancient human DNA, says American geneticist David Reich, the print India. If these ancestral South Indians, and or the indigenous so-called hunter-gatherers have been able to develop cradles, it is not impossible and even probable that North Indian languages and cultures and genes evolved out of the ancestral South Indians, and or out of South India, Ceylon, Indus Valley, Andamanese, etc., or in any case out of the Austronesian expansions. And not out of civilizations that barely could hold on in their own locations. Organizing an operation starting from or on the north of the Caucasus, to overturn the north and most of India is not even geographically an easy feat. We understand that all successful large-scale population turnover events involved crossing of the oceans and seas, and if needed through the rivers inwards, always departing from the Americas and or later from cradles formed in the Austronesian expansions, in places that present carbon agroforests or simulations of carbon agroforests, simply because cultures based on agriculture, which is unsustainable, cannot build up long enough to form a cradle, and also feed and provide a migration, an invasion, obviously plus a population turnover, and obviously need to have a very essential motivation to take on such a risky operation. We claim it is not the Middle Eastern farming population that brings farming to India, but instead the common ancestors migrating by means of the Austronesian expansion, in which India plays a central and key role, including in the spreading of the Indo-European languages. Already long before, certain archaic human genes were also spread by the same Austronesian expansion, and this way and through other routes, carried as workers or slaves by the ships and fleets of contemporary humans. Also Denisovan and Neanderthal genes ended up all over the world, this obviously earlier in time. What comes before in ancient DNA research is that David Reich's research, DNA, proves that during the last 12,000 years, there was no sustained triumph for humans, DNA, which means that the above facts are in stark contrast to the since long hypothesized survival of the fittest. David Reich uses a metaphoric forest fire which brings in over and over again new groups, DNA, to certain or other regions, this to describe the last 12,000 years. We claim that this cyclical arrival of yet other new groups, DNA, very probably is also an indication of some failings of, or by the former group, plus also because of not recovering the original or essential sustainability, also of their DNA. Please give us a thumbs up, or comment, so we can explain better all the above, as well as what this means for all of us today, and how we can solve and thrive, and unify. And give new or additional meaning to the several very important interviews with David Reich, but also to the relation of all of this with India, including with the recent archaeological findings in India.